Want to bring in Joseph Minarik now, the Conference Board's chief policy economist. Good to have you here. I want to talk about the job market with you a bit because we haven't that much with our prior guests this half hour. And we got more clues about the labor market this week. ADP number disappointed. Private payrolls adding just 365,000 jobs. That was about half of what Wall Street was expecting. Jobless claims trending lower, but still very, very high and at pre-pandemic levels. Do you think that the Fed might give us more clues on the outlook for the labor market relative to the Fed's mandate of maximum sustainable employment when Powell speaks later?
I'm sure that Chairman Powell is going to emphasize what he has said in recent episodes, which is to say, I'm not even thinking about raising interest rates. I'm keeping rates as low as I possibly can. And he has, I believe, made clear that he is very concerned. And, as you mentioned a moment ago, his message in the past has been that look for ways to provide as much stimulus as he can, but he needs help on the fiscal side. And it is an awkward time for him to raise that topic. But if somebody asks him, I'm sure he's going to suggest that the powers that be, whoever they are, over the next few weeks, have got to try to move as quickly and as expeditiously as they can.
So some of us are old enough to remember the nasty inflation of the 1970s and early 80s. We were kids, now we're adults. And in the last 14 years, quite honestly, the Fed has never been able to get inflation to that 2% level that they used to target. Now it's the range. So why the big emphasis and concern on inflation when it just has not been an issue for more than a decade?
Well, if you were young back in those days, I envy you. I was a fully qualified adult, but I don't believe that I have seen as much concern about inflation. You clearly can find people who are concerned. You can find people who are invested personally in the old-time monetary economics, the Milton Friedman school. But at this point, we have had the ability to get something like the CARES Act through the Congress with less concern about inflation. The Fed has been able to build a consensus to hold interest rates low without that much concern about inflation. I suspect that is going to continue. And they will continue to try to be as accommodative as they can. I think you raise an important point, though, Adam, which is to say you have a few folks in the Senate who are uncomfortable about the possibility of inflation, and they have been enough to hold up the Senate majority from taking the action that they need. So that's going to be a hurdle going forward, and looks like it will continue to be a hurdle for the next 2 years.
Would it be a valid argument, though? And I've covered the Republicans who, in one administration, are we don't want to spend a lot of money, then they're in power, and let's spend like drunken sailors. No offense to sailors, but isn't that going to be the argument when they get to the negotiations over the next stimulus? Look, we have not had really bad inflation in this country for almost 2 decades.
You will hear that argument. I don't think there's any about it. There will be newfound recidivist deficit hawks who for the last 4 years were not terribly concerned, and they're going to be much more concerned in the future, assuming that we have a Democratic president. But of course, we don't know that yet. That is a concern, and particularly if somebody thinks that by keeping the president from achieving legislation that will get the economy moving again, they might score a few points. It is possible that they'll have some success. As you know, the easiest thing to do in Washington is nothing. It's easy to stop things from happening. It's a lot harder to make them happen.